give us his presentation.
Thank you so much, Jerome Tilak Singh ji. And it is indeed a great privilege for me to be a part of this conference. The paper which I am going to present, the title of my paper is Tulhan Singh's Voyage to Trinidad and After. So in this paper, I propose to document the saga of the voyage of Tulhan Singh from his native village of Seoti in the old Gaya district to Trinidad in the year 1904-5. The pursuit of the discovery of his ancestors' roots brought Mr. Hemraj Ramdas, who is a co-panelist here. I am seeing him. He is Tulhan Singh's great grandson, and he came to Gaya in January 2019. We at the University Department of History, Magad University, Bodh Gaya, are most privileged to be a part of this continuous process of history as a dialogue between the past and the present, performing our duty in facilitating the connect of Mr. Hemraj and other Indian diaspora seekers of their ancestral roots by trying to locate the present members of their long lost families. Here I would like to quote Mark Bloch: behind the features of landscape, behind tools or machinery, behind what appears to be most formalized written documents, and behind institutions which seem almost detached from their founders, there are men, and it is men that history seeks to grasp. A good historian is like a giant of a fairy tale. He knows wherever he catches the scent of the human flesh, his query lies. It was indeed the scent of the man known as Tulhan Singh, whose pursuit brought Hemraj to India, and it was that scent which motivated us to facilitate that pursuit. According to the family consulting records which were received by us, the Trinidad family consulting records, Tulhan Singh hailed from the village Seoti. He was already married, but he took a second wife, who was Yashoda, and he brought his second wife to his village. Yashoda was of a different caste, where it seems that Tulhan Singh and Yashoda were ostracized and they were made to stay on the outskirts of the village. On 11th of November, they went to Patna and from there to Calcutta. On 27th November 1904, Tulhan Singh boarded the ship SS Avon along with his pregnant wife Yashoda as Girmitias. On 17th of December, a boy was born on the ship who was named Avon for ushering good luck, protection on the turbulent high seas. When the ship finally reached Trinidad, Tulhan and his family were assigned the Pitcan estate, and the baby boy was now named Ram Prasad, who fathered 10 children, one of whom was the mother of Mr. Hemraj, and the other was Mr. Dev, who is maternal uncle of Hemraj, and he also visited there during Diwali last year. Now that voyage is still continuing. It continued with the Girmitias like Tulhan Singh and his family, enriching their new homes and creating their nation's destiny together. The saga of the voyage of Tulhan Singh continued with Mr. Hemraj visiting Gaya in October 2019 during Diwali, along with his uncle and aunt. And it would continue as we intend to assist him and all others desirous to discover their ancestral roots here. Mr. Hemraj was in India as a guest during Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, celebrated from 21 to 23 January at Varanasi. And he visited Magad University, Bodh Gaya, my department, PG Department of History, between 15 to 18 January 2019, along with Professor Ghanshyam. Professor Ghanshyam, he was my friend. He's a professor of history at GHU, a Fulbright scholar. He was instrumental in connecting Mr. Hemraj to me. We organized a special lecture on the topic Indian diaspora in the Caribbean, which was delivered by them as chief speakers. On 17th of January, 3 research scholars of the PG Department of History, namely Mr. Anil, Mr. Ramashray, Vikal, and a translator accompanied Mr. Hemraj to seek his ancestral village Seoti, which is about 50 kilometers from my university in the present Jahanabad district, which has been carved out from the old Gaya district. We were successful in locating the fourth generation kin of Mr. Hemraj. Mr. Girijesh Singh, his daughter Karuna, and other members of his family, with whom Mr. Hemraj has maintained contact since then. You know, it was really an overwhelming sight at the village, with emotions overflowing as the connect was established with his ancestral linkages. The local newspapers most prominently covered the event. As per the information we had received from the family consultation records, it mentioned that the branch of family which Chulhan Singh left behind, that was in a neighboring village called Bhavna. And where the villagers, they talked about one Chulhan Singh who had eloped with a woman named Yashoda, and that Chulhan Singh had relatives at the neighboring Sevati village. We are still in the process of uncovering the linkages with that branch of the family, but unfortunately, because of the COVID lockdown, we have been slowed down. Now, again, Mr. Hemraj, along with his uncle Dev and his aunt, they visited us during Diwali last year, and they celebrated Diwali with their family, the family in India. And on 25th of October 2019, we organized an interactive session with the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajendra Prasad, and other faculty members of MU Bodh Gaya. We discussed the proposal of collaboration with MU Bodh Gaya regarding the setting up of a Center of Caribbean Diasporic Studies at the PG Department of History, whose major focus area would be the discovery of the ancestral linkages of the Indian diaspora in the Caribbean. We are hopeful of giving it a final shape soon. You know, the case study of Chulhan Singh is really most interesting and captivating. Generally, the percentage of the upper caste the people who migrated, that was less. There were people, but they were less as compared to the other category of people. Chulhan Singh belonged to the upper Bhumihar caste, who had been well-to-do landowners in this area, and their descendants too are well-to-do comparatively. Besides, his wife was by caste Kayas. That is also upper caste family. And you know, an inter-caste marriage in 1904 was unheard of. And it would have been very improbable to get married for an inter-caste marriage to be solemnized in India during that period. So probably it was the personal motive which compelled them to emigrate to Trinidad. And just 2 days back, you know, I was talking with Mr. Grijesh, who is the 4th generation cousin of Mr. Hemraj. Now he was telling me, you know, while I am talking to, I am sitting in the same room where Chulhan Singh had brought Yashoda. And then he shed some more light upon that episode. He said, you know, so when I was a kid, my father was rebuking my maternal uncle, and that my maternal uncle had an affair with a woman, though he was already married. So I heard my maternal uncle retort to my father that before talking to me, first look into your family. He was citing the case of Chulhan Singh. So, you know, beyond the records, it is a search of the person behind those records which is primary, as according to Mark Bloch, which I have quoted above. Professor J.C. Jha, who taught at the University of West Indies, in his presidential address at the Indian History Congress session in 1980, commented, any in-depth study of immigration and settlement of the Indians in a particular colony in the 19th and the early 20th century has to be a multidisciplinary and multidimensional study. For example, which areas they came from, what were the sociological factors which led to their uprooting from the land of their birth, what were the motivations of the homesick people from Bihar and UP for leaving their home and earth. Now, so the pursuit of home Mr. Hemraj continues. Now another project which we undertook, that was tracing Ram Dhadkan. Now Mr. Ram Dhadkan was the grandfather of Mr. Sona Chand Singh, Sona Chand Manchan Singh, Manchan Sona Chand Singh of British Columbia, and we were connected to him through Mr. Hemraj. Mr. Hemraj and Mr. Manchan Sona Chand Singh sent his Trinidad consultancy records to us, and he also wanted to explore his ancestral linkages. So Mr. Manchan's grandfather was Randhari Chand or Ram Dhadkan, as in the records, and he was Brahmin by caste, and he belonged from Bhugra village of Bahraich district of Uttar Pradesh. And as the records testify that he was son of Ram Pargas, and the name of his brother was Sheetal Prasad. And he boarded the SS Indus on 23rd June 1908 and arrived at Trinidad on 12th August 1908. Manchan Sonachand Singh's father, Sonachand Singh, was born in 1921, as per the Family History Consulting, Trinidad 2013. Manchan Sonachand Singh contacted me through Mr. Hemaraj in May 2019, and I received the immigration records processed by the Family History Consulting. Now, you know, Bahraich is near Lucknow, and it is about 600 kilometers from my place, and it is largely unfamiliar for me. But in my university, I just found out that there is a young assistant professor of philosophy, Dr. Shailendra Singh, who belongs to Bahraich district. Dr. Shailendra Singh was requested to meet Mr. Manchan at Lucknow and tried to locate the ancestral linkages. Mr. Shailendra Singh gracefully proceeded to Lucknow, where he met Mr. Manchan and organized several field trips to the neighboring villages. However, in spite of our best efforts, we couldn't get any leads regarding Mr. Manchan's ancestors in India. However, further research might be fruitful in doing so. Now, here I would like to point out another very important source, which I think have been untouched so far, and they are the genealogical records, and the records which I am referring to are the records of the Gayawal Pandas. Now, in this context, I would like to point out that this is a very important genealogical source for tracing the ancestry of the Indian diaspora in the Caribbean, as well as for us in India also. This is available right in Gaya. And I'm talking about the khatas or the accounts or the Jajmani records of the Gayawal Pandas of Gaya. The Gayawal Pandas are a class of priests who officiate and preside over the rituals for the departed soul, which is known as Gaya Shraddh or Pinddan. As you might be knowing, Gaya is worshipped as the abode of Lord Vishnu, and the Hindus believe that performing Shraddh for the departed ancestors would ensure salvation for their departed ancestors, relieving them of all mortal bondages, if any. In a few weeks from now, this Gaya Shraddh was supposed to commence during the month of Pitru Paksh, but it has been sadly postponed because of the pandemic. And this is the first time since the Great Plague of 1902 that Pinddan has been postponed. So this has been the destructive spread of this pandemic. Now, the Panda Jajman or priest sacrifice relations refers to the hereditary relationships and mutual obligations that have come to exist between the Gayawal families and the numerous caste families all across India. Traditionally, the whole of India has been parceled amongst the several lineages of the Gayawals. The hereditary records of the Jajmans is meticulously maintained by the Gayawals in the form of their khatas, which contain genealogical records, some of which extend to more than 400 years back. These hereditary records contain the name of the Jajmans, their villages, and their lineage. And they have been carefully maintained year after year. Now, these khatas are the hereditary property of the Gayawals. When a lineage or a joint family of the Gayawal breaks into two or more, the area of the jurisdiction as well as the number of patrons are likewise divided by the pages of the khata. And when the disputes arise over the claim of a pilgrim, these khatas provide a ready reference. In this way, the khata of the Gayawal is his sacred, most important and sacred property, and it helps to regulate his sacred estate. When a khata was divided amongst the collateral relatives, the Jajmans were transferred. The rich Jajmans were accordingly informed, and they are still being informed. It is in this context that I am exploring the genealogical records of Chulhan Singh's family, which he has left behind in India. I have contacted Mr. Amarnath Bodhia, who is the Panda of the Gaya Kshetra, in which the village of Sevti and Magdampur are located. I am optimistic of getting some valuable leads, which would be shared shortly. However, there is a particular limitation to these Jajmani records because they contain only the records of only those people who have performed the Gaya Shraddh. In oral interview with Girijesh about 2 days back, I came across another interesting fact that his family has not been performing Gaya Shraddh since 1940, as there were a couple of deaths in the family after the performance of Gaya Shraddh. But we are still quite hopeful of uncovering valuable leads, and these Jajmani records are indeed an important genealogical source. Now, another issue which I want to raise about Gaya is that Gaya, I want to link Gaya with the revolt of 1857. The emigration from this part, Gaya is central Bihar. Most of the immigration that occurred from which has been documented, that is from western part of Bihar. And this western Bihar area, which is the district of Shahabad, the revolt was most intense over there. Professor Brinsley Samru, I hope he is listening to me, or maybe I would like to quote him that he has worked on the Caribbean, the Caribbean impact of the revolt of 1857, and he has established that there was a great exodus post the revolt of 1857 from the Gangetic plains of northern India, which include the area of Awadh, and which also include the eastern Uttar Pradesh, the area of Azamgarh, as well as western Bihar, which is the area of Shahabad. And in that context, he has quoted the account of Underhill. Underhill was a Baptist missionary, and he was sent, he had worked in Calcutta, and he was sent to Trinidad. And while he was visiting some fields, he came across a group of laborers. And when he started chatting to them, some of them told him that we are from Jagdishpur and we are followers of Umar Singh. Now, Jagdishpur was the native village of Umar Singh. And who was Umar Singh? Underhill did not realize then, but Umar Singh was Amar Singh. And Amar Singh was the younger brother of Kunwar Singh, who waged a valiant guerrilla war after Kunwar Singh died crossing the Ganges on 23rd of April 1858, when he was returning from Kanpur. Now, Professor Samru further quotes that account that these laborers, when they realized that their identity as rebel Sipahis will be disclosed, they just spread away. In the course of conducting a research which was granted to me by the UGC on revisiting the revolt of 1857 in Gaya, I have come across records of sales of land. Large quantity of land changed hands from the old Gaya records and the registry office records. And there was migration. There was internal migration, and there would have been definitely external migration, emigration. Gaya, the western part of Gaya, it borders Shahabad. And Gaya had very strong linkages with the Shahabad area, where the Jagdishpur area. In fact, Umar Singh was married in the village Khameni of Arwal. And Arwal was the native place of Jodhar Singh, who was the most prominent rebel leader who had controlled large scraps of territory all over Gaya. So it will be interesting to note whether there has been any emigration from central Bihar. Of course, Hemraj's family, the Chulan Singh, went from central Bihar, but I think that I am not into core research in this area, but with my association since last year, I am getting more and more interested in it, and I have got some unanswered questions. I would like to research more about the immigration from this part of this area, from Gaya, from central Bihar, and it will be interesting to know. And in this context, I would also like to explore that just as there are a number of villages and towns which have been named after towns and villages in India, like Patna, like Ara, maybe Shimla, are there any accounts of Gaya, Vishnupad, and the like? So what we are doing, it is an ongoing project and lot to learn, and I hope to continue this saga, this journey of research, this journey of discovery. Whatever we can do at the University Department of History, we will be doing it for enriching the Girmitya experience, for enriching our experience. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. And the final speaker for this morning is Kirk Megu. The third speaker is not here.
Hello, can you, I'm not, my video is not starting.
Yeah, Kirk, we're hearing you.
Yeah, but my video wasn't